Hello and welcome to Pandora FMS. In today's video, we will show you how to configure alerting in Pandora FMS using Google Chat for notifications. For this, we will start from some fundamental requirements such as having previously created a Google account to create a chat room and add a webhook, and having Python 3 installed on your Pandora FMS server. Now that you know what you need for the alerting to reach you through Google Chat, we're going to see the steps to follow to configure it correctly. Start with the configuration of a room in Google Chat, so open the application. Once you're in the home screen, you can see on the left side a menu with several options. Click on plus next to the word Rooms. This action will show you a series of options. In this case, we're going to select the option Create Room. Once the option is selected, the wizard shows a form where you must indicate the name you want to give it, a couple of more optional parameters, which in this case we will not check, and the possibility of searching for users to add to the room. After performing these actions, you will have a channel ready to receive Pandora FMS alerts. Now that you have this configured, it is necessary to add a webhook. So go to the drop-down that is enabled for each room and click on the text Manage Webhooks. For those of you who do not know what a webhook is, we can summarize it as an instrument that authorizes a system or application to send notifications about a specific event to another system or application. Continuing with our configuration, you will see that here you just have to indicate a name and optionally indicate a URL to set as an avatar. Then just save the changes and copy the URL to use it in the connector's execution. With this, you already have the Google Chat part configured, so now we will focus on Pandora FMS server. First of all, to use Pandora Google Chat CLI, you must have Python 3 and Py 3 installed for their dependencies. Just execute the command that we see on screen. Once installation is finished, go to Pandora FMS module library and download the manual available in Spanish and English and the package with the files compressed in a zip. Upload these files found in the .zip to your server. In my case, to the path where the server plugins are stored by default in Pandora FMS. /usr/pandora_server/util/plugin/. Next, just execute the command seen on screen that will help you download and install the necessary dependencies. Now that you have the dependencies installed, run with Python 3 the file Pandora GChat CLI.py, followed by -h to see its help. There you can see that the plugin requires two mandatory parameters: the URL of the webhook we obtained in the first steps and the data sent in the key value format, and that will be separated by commas. We're going to carry out a test with the following execution. If the sending is correct, a message like the one we see in the terminal appears indicating that the message has been sent successfully, followed by the response code of the webhook 200. As you can see in the help, apart from the serialized data and the URL, we have several optional parameters. Some are very simple and self-explanatory, such as the title of the message, the description of the alert, the URL of the thumbnail or alert image, and others like the URL of a button and its description that can be used to direct the user to Pandora FMS console or to a wiki of necessary actions. When unzipping the package, there is a file called test-exec.txt where you will have an example run using all the parameters. The result of this execution will be slightly different. It will contain more information than the one we indicated, such as the alert icon, the title, or the bottom button. But for this to work correctly, first edit the file and make some changes. First of all, change the content in the line that starts with the parameter -u, and we're going to copy the webhook that we generated from Google Chat previously. This will be the only really necessary change. Optionally, you may change the rest of the content of the rest of the lines if you want to see the preview on how it would look with another icon, another link, or different parameters for agent, module, date, etc. If everything's correct when executing, you will see that the following message is shown in the terminal and that the alert is displayed correctly in Google Chat with its graph and other data and icons. Therefore, now that you have Google Chat configured and you have successfully carried out the tests from the terminal, it is time to proceed with the settings in Pandora FMS console. The first thing to keep in mind is that the script must be in an accessible path on the machine where you have Pandora FMS server deployed. In our case, and as we saw before, we will place it in /usr/share/pandora_server/util/plugin/. But any location can be used as long as Pandora FMS server has access to that path. Next, we're going to scroll through the menu to the section Alerts Commands. Here, create a new command for which your user must be an administrator or at least have management permissions on alerts. You will see a form and there first name the command, then add the execution of the script and the parameters to be used using Pandora FMS macros, the group the command will belong to, and a description to clarify what it will be for or what this command refers to. In the file test-exec.txt, there's already a definition of the command with macros as an example, so you may use that one. If you look at the command, we replace the values that we filled out earlier in the execution from the terminal by a series of variables that refer to the fields below. It will be here where you have to define some fixed elements and others using different macros as we find it more easy and useful. Fill in the fields you need with information that is really useful for each one. In this case, I'm going to establish a series of data and macros so that when my alert arrives, it shows me information about the agent, which group it belongs to, the model that triggered it, its value, and what time it was triggered. You can also define how to hide the URL for connection to the webhook, so as not to let all users see it. After this, the command is configured. Click on Create and go to the section named Actions in the menu. In this case, the configuration of the action will be fast since we've filled in all the parameters in the command. But we're going to start with the first sections that appear in the form. As before, add a name to save the action we're handling, the group that will have access to it, and choose the command to be used. In this case, the one we just created. We see that when we selected, the fields below are filled with information inserted in the command configuration. Here, define and modify the fields corresponding to the fields we established. I have left it as the default configuration in the command so we can use it with what we have defined, but you can change it at the level of specific actions if you want to change the data sent for each action. You can also see that the text or fields can be changed both for the trigger and the recovery fields. Once you're done, click on Create and go to the next point. Now the only thing left is creating a template with the terms that we want to be met so that the associated action is executed. The formula to be followed will be the same. Scroll to the side menu and select, in this case, the option Templates and follow the form that appears. Add a name and select a group and go to the next step. Here, define when you're going to want the alert to fire, indicating days and time in addition to other fields that will help you indicate how many alerts at most you want to receive in a period of time and how many intervals have to be in the wrong state for the alert to be triggered. Select the action that you configured a while ago and the term that must be met for the alert to be triggered. We also have a field checked by default, and its activation depends on whether the number indicated in the minimum number of agents is higher than 0. By enabling this token, you reset the alert counter when the indicated condition is not repeated consecutively. For example, if the field minimum number of alerts has a value of 2, it means that the module has to go into the state assigned in condition type 3 times to trigger the alert. Two cases are possible. If the reset token is checked, it will be necessary for the number of critics to be consecutive. Otherwise, the counter will be reset. If you do not check the reset token, the alert will be fired after an alternative or continuous sequence of critics. After this is configured, go to the third and final step, where you will simply have to enable or disable the option to receive an alert in case of module recovery. Here you can also modify some of the fields that we have already configured both in the action and in the command, but in general it is not usually necessary to perform any task here since we will do it at action level. Click on Create and it is time to go to the agent and set the alert in the module you want. In my case, I'm going to define it in the used memory module of the server's own agent. For this, we're going to first modify the critical threshold in the module so that it goes into that status and the alert is triggered. Now you only have to confirm the change, wait for the agent's interval to go by, and in a few seconds you will receive the alert in your Google chat room. You can check how the data that you configured in the command are displayed, and if you need any more information or if you have spare data, modify the command or the action depending on your chosen configuration. If you have any questions about how to configure alerts or which macros can be used, in the description we'll leave you the links to our wiki so that you can take a look at them. And that was it for today's video. Don't forget it, if you like the video, smile, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any suggestion, question or ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Remember that if you're interested in trying Pandora FMS Enterprise, you may contact us to get a free 30-day trial. Thank you very much for your time and we hope to see you on social media and in future learning videos.